Brian. Just curious if you have any updated word on Graham Gano.
He has a hamstring, so we'll see where he's at. I would assume it's going to be a few weeks here.
So what's your plan going forward at kicker?
We'll work guys out, and Jude has been with us, so we'll make a decision off of the workout, based on how they do in the workout, and then Jude.
Gotcha. And I guess I'll do one more. When you look back on what was the biggest problem with the run defense yesterday?
Yeah, I'd say two things. Usually this happens for run defense. Two things: tackling, and then run fits. So those are two things that we're really gonna. We stress them every week, but put an added emphasis on them this week.
Gotcha.
Please raise your hand if you have a question. Brian's on Levy.
Hey, Brian. Two things. First, your running game, the offensive line, it seemed like probably got overshadowed a little bit, but it seemed the holes were pretty sizable. What did you think of the way? I know they were hard on themselves for their run blocking after week one. What did you think of that particularly with the offensive line?
Yeah, I'd just say the offense in general, I thought, made very good improvements from week one to week two. We stayed on track. We played in positive down and distances. We ran with the ball well. I'd say the receivers blocked well. That was a really good run to start off the game by Motor, and a great block by Slayton coming in on the right side, and then Motor making the guy miss, the crack replace guy. Wasn't a lot of free runners. Most of the time we got a hat for a hat. We got movement at the line, and I thought Motor ran well, saw the hole well, made good cuts, got downhill. That was an improvement. The pass protection was an improvement. We didn't have very many negative plays, which helps offensively when you're moving the ball. So, there's a lot of good things that came out of that, and a lot of improvements on that side of the ball.
And then, big picture-wise, Brian, 0-2 teams, I don't have the stats in front of me, but 0-2 teams don't usually get to the playoffs. They don't usually make much of their seasons. This organization's been 0-2 9 of the last 12 years, and not much has come of those seasons. Is this a pivotal point? Can you feel, as the head coach, as the leader of your locker room, is this a pivotal point for you guys in your season to make sure that which way it turns?
Yeah, I think you just have to focus on the week at hand. I've been part of some 0-2 teams that ended up pretty well. I know they have here. So, again, what really happened, 10 years ago or last year, like I've always said, really has no bearing on anything this season. I thought we made some improvements in a lot of areas. Need to continue to improve on the things that we're not doing well at this time, and focus on the Cleveland Browns.
What 0-2 team were you part of that turned something around? I'm sorry, I don't know.
That was a long time ago, 2001. Actually,
that team.
1-3. So, again, that's 2001 or 2020. None of that really matters, Ryan. So, what matters is doing the things we need to do internally to fix some of the things that, we're having issues with. I think, again, there's been some improvement. There was improvement in the red zone defense from week 1 to week 2. There was improvement, I'd say, in almost every area offensively. And we need to continue to build off of those things and then fix the things that aren't up to standard.
Thanks.
Mm-hmm.
Kim Jones.
Hey, Dabes, can you hear me?
Gotcha.
Noting, of course, that you're only 2 games in, but did you have to kind of uplift any spirits or give a little pep talk to your team about this not being, a lost season, or the idea that you can turn it around starting this week?
Yeah, I mean, this is 2 games in, so it's a long NFL season. Again, we had a good week of preparation. Thought there were a lot of good things in the game. I thought there was improvements, again, from week 1 to week 2, and that's where our focus needs to be.
Was there anything different after the game or this morning about your interaction with ownership?
No, consistent, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Tom Canavan.
Hey, Brian, how you doing?
Hey, Tom.
Two quick questions. Are there any other players you're worried about as far as injury goes other than Graham?
No.
Okay. And the second question is, I mean, I know how much you've always said how much you hate to lose. It was yesterday one of those games where you sat there and said, how did we lose? I mean, you should have won.
Yeah, I'd say anytime you lose, you're not happy. So again, there was opportunities to be had, and at the end of the day, they made one more play than we did. So again, I'm not going to make an excuse. They played well. I thought again we did some good things. It just came up short.
Thank you.
Yep.
Jordan Renan.
Hey, Brian. When you mentioned earlier things that aren't up to our standard that you kind of have to fix, I was wondering what comes to your mind when you say that? Like what specifically, maybe one little example are you talking about?
Well, I talked about one of them is our run defense and our run fits and our tackling. Our ball security, which was a big fumble there at the start of the second half, which we had a good drive going. Those are the big things that we need to make sure we take care of and improve on.
And then with Jalen Hyde in particular, I know we asked you kind of about this last week, but I'm curious, he hasn't played a ton now in either of the first two games. What does he have to do to show you that, he deserves more playing time?
I think he got 13 or 14 plays. Again, that's not because of Jalen Hyatt. Slay's doing a nice job with his opportunities of doing the things that he needs to do. And then we sprinkle in Hyatt, in particular plays. And then Neighbors is, he's been on the field most of the time, and we've mixed in 12. We mixed in, 11 personnel, not as much 10 personnel, but he'll be ready to go when his number's called.
But aren't you surprised in a bit that he has, you haven't gotten him involved at all, really? He has 0 catches. I know you invested in him last year. You gave him a lot of opportunity. There was a lot of first team reps this summer. How much do you feel like you need to get something out of him?
Yeah, I think we need to get stuff out of everybody. But again, the two receivers that do start are Slay and Neighbors. He's the third guy in, per se, when we go 2 receiver sets, and he's the fourth guy in 3 receiver sets.
Paul Schwartz.
Hey, Brian.
Paul?
Hey, a couple of things. With a young team, we mentioned, and you mentioned about the youth of this roster. Does a coach have to have his antenna up even more in the locker room with a young team to make sure this is not here we go again? There hasn't been a lot of winning the last couple of years. So do you have to maybe take a lot of ownership with that with a young group?
Yeah, again, each week we got to focus on the team we're playing and the things we need to do to go out there and perform well. And that's where our guys' heads are at. That's where they're going to be at. Learn from the things from one week to the next and keep improving.
And do you want more, I don't know if anyone's going to complain about targeting Malik Neighbors. They would complain if you didn't target him, I'm sure. But, the tight ends had a lot of snaps in the game, and, they're not really, targeted yesterday, certainly. Do you want... when this offense is settled, do you want it to be a more diversified attack? So maybe Malik does not have to get 18, and maybe the Theos get involved, and maybe Devin in the passing game, things like that.
Yeah, I think the tight ends were involved. They were involved in protection and allowing us to throw the ball 20, 25 yards down the field, or deep comebacks, or goes, or posts. So everybody has a role to do. That depends on the game and the team we're playing. And when their numbers called, I expect them to go out there and make it, whatever that may be. Whether it's blocking, pass blocking, run blocking, it takes all 11.
And would you like the offense to maybe be unshackled at some point where you don't feel you need to keep the tight ends in, to protect as much, and, maybe they can do some of the things that you would, think they can do?
Well, I think that depends on who you're playing and what you're getting. So, I wouldn't say that was necessarily the plan going in, but that's what we thought we needed to do. And I thought the guys executed well. I thought they performed, they stayed on track. I thought they played well, on the offensive side of the ball. doing the things we needed to do. We missed a couple big ones down the field, just couldn't connect on them. But run after catch was good, route discipline was good, protection was good, run game was good. That turnover, that was a huge difference in the game. We were down 1-0 on turnovers, and we need to build off of this.
Thanks.
Yep.
We'll take two more. Art Stapleton.
Hey, Dabes.
Hey, Art.
With going back to the run fits a little bit, something that Andre Patterson said last week kind of stands out a little bit in my head. The idea that, with Daniels and the way he ran in week 1, kind of gave you 6 gaps to cover, and especially if you played certain things up front, it really, put you in a bind in terms of the rush discipline or anything else. Did you see that kind of come to fruition yesterday? Maybe played a little tentatively up front, and that's how the run defense kind of sprung some leaks. Did that have something to do with it, the ability of Daniels to kind of break out when you really weren't it wasn't a designed run, so to speak?
Yeah, I'd say most of his scrambling the first game was off of passes. So, again, I don't think they played tentatively. We just got to do a good job of accounting for all our gaps and making sure when we get them into the open field that we can bring them down tackling too. So the fundamentals of tackling and then the discipline of gap control are 2 areas we're going to continue to work on.
One other thing I wanted to ask you was that, there were a couple of the yards after catch, the run after catch from Malik, the passes to the outside. I know it was probably a product of the Commanders playing off of him and then crashing down. Was that something that you guys had worked on coming in? Because it seemed like he had a plan as soon as he caught the ball, the idea to break to the outside and really gain probably about 10, 15 yards a pop. I'm just curious if that's part of just his natural awareness. Is that something that you guys kind of identified that would be a part of the game plan?
Yeah, I'd say it's a combination of both. He's a talented player that can do things with the ball in his hand, and you saw that yesterday. Gained a lot of yards after contact, as did Wandell when Wandell got the ball thrown to him. So that's going to have to be a big part of our game is we have players that can do something with the ball in their hands in space, run after catch wise, and we'll continue to build off that.
Thanks.
Yep.
Last one, Pat Leonard.
Hey, Brian, just curious if you think the run defense issues, do you see personnel changes that need to happen there, or scheme changes that you feel need to happen, or do you really think it just comes down to the execution of the players being better?
Yeah, it's probably just a combination of everything, Pat. It's that long one they had on 3rd and 1, we kind of stuffed him up the middle, and we had kind of 2 guys that thought he was rushing the pile, so they were trying to push the pile. He squirted out. There was a couple crack replace things that happened, where somebody came in and cracked one of the force players, so the next player's got to fill, or just being aggressive and going to get it. So, everybody's accountable to it. Run defense takes all 11 to be on the same page and to make sure. I'd say it's not just the gap control, I'd say tackling too. I think it was quite a few missed tackles yesterday that gives them extra yards or gives them first downs or second and short situations, or takes a 3rd down, you hand it off, and now you're in a first down. We're going to continue to work on those fundamentals.
One more, if you don't mind. Brian Burns several times yesterday said that the competitive stamina of the team needs to be better. What does that mean to you in a game like yesterday? What is competitive stamina? Yeah,
to me, it's finish. So, it's chasing, it's tackling, it's gang tackling, it's, chasing the ball carrier on offense, it's finishing blocks on the kickoff return. It's all those things that you need down in and down out, on a consistent basis. And I'd say that, there was a high level of it most of the time, and then there was a few plays that they'll get you. Those few plays will get you if we're not all running to the ball, or if we're not chasing the ball carrier when the ball carrier fumbles. Those are things that we continuously emphasize, and that's we need to make sure that that's part of our identity.